Welcome back, everyone. Going to the second hour here of Court of Swords, week 33, I believe. Before we get started, real quick, just wanted to show Gears Art has been drawing the poster for the show. So if you guys want to, I don't know what he's doing here, but if you want to go,
lady with a tentacle. You don't remember that part?
I don't remember that part at all.
Tentacle arm.
If you want to give him feedback or comments or anything like that, he actually does listen to viewers of the show and takes what you guys have to say in the context and throws that into the actual image. Like, for instance, this thunder up here didn't pop up till someone told him that my cleric was a storm cleric. So there you go. Also, that's Azrael. I'm up here with the crossbow. That's a fucking shitty.
Man, Azrael's hot. I'd hit it.
Yeah, he's got a cool looking sword too.
Neither
but really,
perfect looking.
Can we get a close up on? Look at Berg. Look at that. What do you think, Max?
Oh yeah.
Wait for the. Oh shit! Hold on. Let me look.
You into Berg right there? Getting ready to swing that hammer into
good shit. I came in there when he was doing it because Amanda let me know that he was working on that.
Yeah.
And he didn't have the X on his chest yet. And I was just like, oh yeah, he needs an X on his chest.
Where's a good place to? Should I just tweet at him if I have feedback?
Yeah. Really Twitch.tv/GearsArt or Twitter.com/GearsArt for sure.
It's looking really cool though.
Yeah, he should finish up the next, probably this week. I don't actually want to put too much of
That's meant to be like a poster, yeah, or something.
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, that'll be a poster and wallpaper.
I want that so bad.
So, yeah,
cool.
It'll be actually. I think it's 24 inches by 36 inches, which is a fucking big poster.
That's a pretty big poster. But that's cool though.
So you can get it framed and everything. But yeah, that'll be up on the store later this week. So sorry about that. Let's jump back into it. Dan, you have a decision to make, good sir.
Well, all right. Let's see here. Well, let me ask you a question. I'm pointing to the woman. I'm like, what if you paid this guy to kill some bastard that did something horrible to you, but when he came back, he brought some other guy's head? How would you feel about that?
You're saying this to her?
Yeah, to her.
She shakes her head. She's like, that would never happen. I kill all bastards myself. And she like chuckles and looks over at her friend, and he's like picking his fingernails with a knife, and he's like, it's true, she does.
Well, okay. But let's say not you, but someone else. They were paid to do one thing, but they didn't do exactly the right thing. Would you want to pay them for not doing what you asked them to do?
Roll persuade. She's like, it's like he wasn't clear about his instructions. He said he needed the spiders, and the guy, the merchant, he's like, I said no such thing. What use do I have for this?
And you, these people who went out and risked their lives for your silk, they didn't bring back exactly what you want, but they're injured. They got poisoned. Can't you at least give them some compensation? Surely you could sell these spiders to the apothecary for potions.
He kind of like looks distastefully at the bag of dead meat on his floor, and he's like, I don't know. Roll another one.
Incoming one.
13.
So he's like, well, I suppose it would only be fair to reward you for your work, misguided though it was. I cannot pay you the whole amount. I will pay you a quarter of what you were promised. And she slams a fist on his desk. Just big burly hands. She like slams her hand down. She's like, no, I want all of it. And they both look at you.
Wait. Perhaps you give them enough to pay for their injuries, and then they could go try again. And then when they come back, you pay them on the agreed amount. This time, she will be sure to bring back the silk of the right spider this time.
And she says, well, we're going to need something for these carcasses, or I can go to the apothecary myself.
Exactly. Take these over there. I'm sure he'll love to. There's lots of poison in there that I'm sure he would love.
Yeah, and she like picks the bag up and kind of throws it over her shoulder, and there's like a wet kind of squelching noise. And she says, fine, I'll come back from the healer with a bill, and then we'll try this again. But you're paying for antidotes in advance this time. You didn't tell us they were poisonous. And he's like, they're spiders. What did you expect?
To be fair, there are some that are not poisonous. You should have been more specific.
And they kind of grudgingly both are like, yes, fine, you're right. And yeah, and then the woman, I think she looks at you. She puts a hand out to like shake your hand.
I reach out and shake her hand.
Okay.
Get a real close look at her tattoos and see. If
Yeah,
they
she grabs your wrist instead of shaking your hand, like pulls you close to her and like slaps you on the back, and then like lets go. She smells vaguely of like salt air, and she kind of like tosses her like dreadlocked hair back behind her, and yeah, you get a good look at like her like, swirling tattoos. They make a perception check. I just want to see how much you can notice in the middle of this embrace.
Well,
oh, no, okay. Yeah, they
not much.
They have
She
a vaguely,
smells salty.
They have a vaguely. She does. She Trump handshakes you exactly. They have a vaguely like a pattern to them, but you can't. You don't have the context for them. And so she lets you go and she says you're a smart one. Are you and your friend in town looking for work?
Not at the moment. But thanks for the offer. I hope things work out with you.
She laughs. She says, "Oh, I'm not here to employ you. I'm competition. This town, they say it's a gold rush. People looking for things to get done." She grins. She says, "We came from the sea to the east. Got tired of being pirates, getting chased around." And she looks over at her friend, who's still kind of disaffected, like very like intent on his manicure. He's like, "I hate the ocean." And she says, "We have some friends. We're staying at a tea house, Midtown. You should come, have a drink with us. You and your." She looks over at Berg. "What are you doing right now, Berg? Are you like holding a dress up to yourself, looking in the mirror?"
Yeah, I think Berg's actually just kind of looking around, still feeling stuff. He might have grabbed something off at this point, just like.
Yeah, and so she looks at Berg. She says, "You and your." Looks at Berg. Eyes flicker to the bracer. "Companion." She gives you the name of the tea house that they're, or of the shop, or the place they're staying, the tavern they're staying at. And yeah, and then she says, "I suppose we have some more spiders to kill." And she looks at her friend. She's like, "Come on, Amir, let's go." And he like takes his eyes away from music, staring at a hat or something, and he looks over and he's like, "Oh, very well." And then the two of them head out.
Good day.
Yeah. So they go. And yeah, and so the by the time they leave, the shop owner is like staring at this kind of wet like mess on the floor. He sighs and he's like, "There was a time I could afford a servant to clean this up. Please, look around. I'm going to go get a mop." And he like walks into the back.
I walk over to Bird. I'm like, "See anything you like? Anything that catches your eye?"
So that's a good point, Max. You have the bracer covered. So what happened?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So she doesn't know she doesn't know you have a bracer, but that was racism instead. She looks at you, sees that you're an orc, looks for the bracer.
Gotcha.
And then, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so you get a chance to look around. He goes into the back to get a mop.
Gotcha. You just asked Berg, like, did he see anything or
anything
that
catches your eye? That any costume or disguise that you think looks good?
Well, the red one over there looks kind of neat, but perhaps too small.
Berg gestures to like kind of like a red like monk's sort of thing that looks like, I don't know, kind of, it's clearly cheaper than an actual like nice monk's robe, but has like the frills of like, fake like, nice silk and whatever.
It's very nice. Definitely not your size. That's actually, I don't think most anything in here is your size. We'd have to have them enlarge it or make something custom.
Yes, I doubt many of the things here are large enough or strong enough for me.
And he comes back. You hear the guy come back from the back of the shop. He's carrying a mop in his hands. He set it over one shoulder, and he says, "I'm sorry. This is so demeaning." And he like starts wiping up, and he says, "Normally it's a much higher class place in here, but busy morning. You gentlemen looking for something in particular? Going to a party, perhaps?"
Berg laughs at
Yes, a party.
We heard rumors that you sometimes help the devils, help them when they don't want to be recognized, if you know what I mean.
He laughs and says, "No need to be coy, friend. I'm here to serve. Whatever it is you need to disguise your appearance, make yourself more beautiful. Anything that you need, if it's clothing." And he like bows deeply.
It's not for me. It's for my rather large friend here. He
Ah.
needs to not be able to be recognized.
He walks over and he kind of is like twiddling his mustache, and he gives you a look up and down, Berg, and he says, "Well, you are quite the specimen." And he kind of just like gets in your space. He's like touching your arms and like measuring your shoulders, like looking up at you, and he says, "I have seen your kind many times before. I'm from the city, you see. I wanted to expand my business, come south. You don't care about that. But look at you." Like, it gives you this kind of up and down.
Yes.
He says, what were you thinking? Something subtle? Something ostentatious?" He looks, "Are you wearing your mask?"
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He says, "Well, you're going for intimidating now. Is that where you wish to stay? Perhaps a mask of one of the 10 faces of the Mara. Maybe the Great Doctor. Or, no, too small for you, I think. Or, tell me, what do you see in your mind's eye when you think of the way that you look, friend?"
I think Berg actually like kind of like thinks for a moment, but is a little confused, and then just looks at Azrael and is like,
What are we going for?
My friend isn't exactly the best with these large words you're using. If you could make it the question a little simpler for him.
He says, "Well," and he kind of takes on this.
I
like,
know what he asked me, Asriel.
Oh, I'm sorry, my
asking
friend.
you,
Okay.
what are we going for?
Preferably, we would want something so subtle that he just doesn't draw any attention. He's just a big, stupid person.
So his hand is now resting on your wrist with the bracer underneath it. And he turns to you, Azrael, and says, "Often the best disguise is the one that no one is looking for. I do not wish to make assumptions, but let me posit something. When the two of you travel the city together, it's generally assumed that this one is your servant." And you can hear him choose the word servant on purpose.
Mhm.
Is this not so?
That's a fair assessment. That's how others would perceive it, I'm sure.
And this mask that you wear, your physique and your weapons are intimidating enough. It's not to frighten, I don't think, but to hide your identity. You're a wanted man. And so I think, and he like taps the bracer and then takes his hands away. He says, "I think hard to pretend you're merely a indentured servant. Tricky situation you find yourself in. It's going to be nearly impossible making this one disappear. What with you not being a dwarf and the whole pretending to be a slave thing not being particularly valuable. Tricky, yes. You're on the run from bounty hunters? Slavers?"
Both.
He nods. "A hard life. Not one I would wish on anyone. I'm very anti-slavery. Never saw the use for them myself. I would rather a skilled servant than a... Oh, my politics don't matter."
I like it.
He says, So you can't pretend that you're a slave because they'll see your face, and no slave goes about wearing a mask like that. And I can't make you seem to be something that you're not. Your size, your skin, your voice will all give you away. Can't disguise those things. And he turns to you, Azrael, and kind of puts his hands up, like, what do you think?
What if he wasn't a half orc, but a full orc? To make him appear.
He looks at you, Berg, and he says, "Let me see your face."
Brings things.
You take your
Brings
your
it
mask
down
off.
rather. Yeah, take the mask off and
Okay.
kind of bow down to him.
And you have what? One of your tusks is like is broken or filed off.
Yeah, it's half off.
He looks at it. He's like, "Tusk's a bit small. I'd have to craft a prosthesis." And your posture. And he like looks at you. He's like, "Too upright. Can you?" And he kind of like gestures forward. Like, can you kind of like lean forward?
Yeah, Berg kind of like hunches forward.
Have either
awkwardly.
of you seen an orc before, in the wild? I mean.
Yes. I've slain a few.
Yeah. He says, well, then you are a great warrior. They are nasty brutes, terrible and huge. You could perhaps be mistaken for a smaller. You'd need makeup. And, but what purpose would it serve? That they would be looking for a half-orc and see an orc in his place? You know most people don't make the distinction.
This is true. Are there any religions that accept orcs as monks or servants that he could disguise himself as?
He sighs and he says, yes, but only the one, and it is a grave ill omen to pretend you serve it when you do not. Too long you stand in the tower's shadow. Dark becomes your fate. But if you wish, I could craft him some robes.
I think Berg literally like lost what the fuck they were saying. He's just like,
What?
He's saying that you could disguise yourself as one of the, is it the tower?
Mm-hmm.
As a follower of the tower, but doing so, people wouldn't notice, wouldn't think it's awkward, but unfortunately, the followers of the tower would, and they wouldn't appreciate it too much. Be bad luck.
We
Yeah, he's-
already have many enemies. Why make more?
He actually make a religion check, Azrael. I'm gonna give you a chance. I'll give you a chance to make that religion check.
Okay, let's.
Oh,
Wow.
nailed
Hey,
it.
there you go.
21.
So while you're talking, it actually occurs to you that there might be another option. So when judgment decrees that a person's life has gotten to a point where it serves no purpose any longer, generally like they've committed a terrible crime, they're found consorting with the Mara, that sort of thing, they can declare them to be executed, right? Killing someone is a thing that judgment can call for. But before they're killed, they have to go through a cycle of penitence. They wear the hood of the hangman that conceals their identity and allows their soul to absolve itself of its sins before it's recommitted to the wheel. So if you could get your hands on one of those and Hoodberg as if he was one to be killed, you would have time to at least go around, because it's sacrosanct not to remove the hood, right? They're dead already, so the person underneath no longer matters. No bounty hunter, no priest, except perhaps a priest of judgment who is suspicious, would ever ask you to take it off, because it's like they're dead already. It's like looking on the face of a corpse. So that might work. It would certainly buy you time to pretend that he's dead already.
I relay that to him. What about if we disguised him as the executed of judgment?
He thinks a moment. He says, yes, I think that might work. Certainly not forever, but a week at least would buy you some time to be someone that you're not. Well, be someone not at all, in fact. Now, you would be ignored. No one would dare to speak directly to you. Bad luck and all, but it sounds to me like that's what you want.
That's exactly what we need. Need time.
I've lived my life being ignored. This I can do well.
Now, you'd have to find a way to hide your weapons, your armor. The dead have no need for these things. But if hiding your identity is what you want, then I think that might be what you're looking for. Now, I can certainly craft you a reasonable facsimile. Now, I'm loath to turn away business, but you could also try to steal one from the priests. They're a stodgy lot. Never got along with them. I know that they have these hoods. We don't get a lot of executions in the lower city, but uptown, occasionally someone will be exiled from their life. Bad political choice and what have you. But, well, what do you think?
I think this is something that would give us the time we need to deal with this problem.
Well, I can get to work immediately. It won't be cheap, but judging from what I've heard of you two, that shouldn't be a problem.
Yes, our reputation precedes us.
Fair price.
He nods and bows, and he says, for members of the 12-fold thirsty devils, of course, I live in your master's backyard. Now, come with me. And he takes you and he basically takes you over to measure your neck and figure out the what they need to put on you to set it up.
Yeah.
So after that, you spend a little time getting measured and everything. He says to you, now I have most of the materials. We'll need to wait a bit on the cord, but I have a merchant coming in this week. If you can wait a few days, lie low, I should be able to have the hood ready for you. I can send someone to bring it and to collect payment. What do we think of 150 gold now and another 200 when I deliver? I promise you it will be my finest work.
Is there nothing you could do to speed up the process for maybe a little more gold?
He says, I wish that I could. Perhaps if you were to go uptown to a clothier there, I could tell you the material that I need. It's a kind of cloth of gold, hard to come by, but those folks have things that do not reach us down here in the gutter. And he's sort of sneering, but yeah, he says, but if you could go up to the higher city and ask around, I'm sure you could find someone who had it. I would take the materials cost out of the final product, of course, but here, and he takes out a piece of parchment. He writes on it and folds it up and hands it to you.
All right. Well, here's your gold. I hand him 150 gold.
Okay. Yeah. He takes it.
Go ahead and get started, and we'll see if we can find this for you.
And he says to both of you, and he says, part of my price is discretion. I deal with people who do not wish to know, wish the world to know that they've been here. I'm very, very good at keeping my mouth shut. So if anyone comes looking for you, we've never met.
Thank you.
He says, I'll have my boy run to your house when it's complete. But if you find the material in the meantime, bring it to me.
Thank you very much for all your help.
He bows again. Anything for the thirsty devils.
I guess me and Berg walk out and go back to our place to see if Gail's there.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's. I guess Julian Blackale, you go back home.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
I will kind of like hang out on the rooftops though to make sure I'm not being followed to my best of my ability. Also, just people watch for a little bit. I would assume I just see more adventurers.
Yeah. I'm in the town. There seems to be like several of them. And for the most part, they're just like pushing people around and being dicks because
Yeah.
they have weapons and money and they've been on the road for many of them have been on the road for a long time. So the lower city's in there's a bit of a tumultuous kind of situation going on. People seem on edge.
Right. All right. Who shows up first, them or me?
I think you get home first.
Okay. When I get home, I walk in through the door completely calm, shut the door, lock it, and then go into like panic mode because I'm fucking worried that someone's gonna find Berg before he gets back or something like that. So I run and grab, or in anticipation of him getting back, I go and grab just cloth of some sort, whether it's bed sheets or draperies or something.
Okay.
And I'm just like waiting at the door, kind of like tapping my talons like in a rhythm on some. I would assume the granite of the opening area, the courtyard.
Yeah, there's like flagstones.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting there waiting for them to come back because I
Okay.
assume they left somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they return.
I would think when Berg like opens the doors and shut it, the second he does, I just go over and throw these robes around him. Wrap them up. Yeah.
Berg's just like,
What are you doing?
Yeah, then kind of stand back, and if I see like a little bit of a orc skin showing, I'll like pull the thing down, and turn to Azrael, and then
Berg's just like doing this. He's just like,
yeah, I'm not even like, just as I treated the bracer on your arm, I don't care that you're maybe not in compliance with what I'm doing.
you're just like clawing, like, put it down.
Yeah, yeah. And then Azrael's voice, I look at Azrael and say, "Death lurks in there," and I kind of point towards the city.
He's worried about you. He doesn't want them to get you. He's seen bounty hunters.
With a cloth over, like, I'm not like fussing. I'm just sitting there because he's going to keep putting it back on. Berg's just like,
He's throwing a bed sheet over you.
yeah. Berg's just like,
I'm inside.
As you say that, I like run to the door and maybe open it, kind of just look down the street with my head and then shut the door once again. And Azrael's voice look at him and say, "Are you sure we're alone?"
This, my friend, is the safest place down here that we could possibly get. We are surrounded by protection at all times. The moment we leave this area, though, it's not so safe anymore. As long as we're here, we should be fine.
If anyone's inside this house, that's not us. I will kill you. Come out right now.
Come out here so I can kill you.
I pull more of the
Yeah.
cloth down. I see some skin showing on his back. I just pull it down, cover it up. And I'd look towards to Azrael, and in Berg's voice, I ask him where to now.
I first I say, where have you been? You disappeared.
I start like pacing back and forth, and then go and grab some tapestry, something to like. Or what is on the ground? Is it like gravel or dirt?
We probably have paper
outside?
and stuff.
No,
Outside or
yeah,
inside?
like right where we're standing.
So the house inside, it's like flagstones, and then outside there's like a flagstone path with like sand, very fine gravel as part of the kind of swept garden.
Okay, I'll take out my rapier and I'll draw the like task house. I don't even know what you would call where I went. The building that I went to.
Yeah. So it's like a little enclosed like shed that serves as like a place where you can go and hire like laborers, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Task house is as good a name for it as any.
sure, yeah, I
Gail's
just kind of draw that loosely.
Can Gale write in common? Are you able to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he can write just fine.
What if we get you a notebook, a notepad, and a quill on it, so you can write stuff when you need to?
What if we get you a bunch of business cards that say Jubilant Black Ale?
That's true. We've already done this once before in another game. No, I stick to I like tout my rapier in the gravel, the fine sand rather, and like point on the building to make sure you're noticing what I'm pointing at.
Yeah.
Like drive the rapier into it.
I nod. I'm like, I recognize the building.
And
you
then
were there.
I mimic the guy's voice, and like try to puff up my breast.
You pretty much repeat exactly what he said, the way he said it.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
And then I say what the woman said as well, and maybe like kind of close my hands and look daintily as I say these things. And then take the rapier and put it on Berg's chest.
People are trying to kill me. Nothing new. We kill them first if they try.
I'm waiting for Israel to speak.
We knew this place is crawling with more people than ever, ever since we got here, and it's bound to be. We were openly attacked once on the street. It's only to be expected that it's going to happen again. People are looking for Berg. The price is so great that it could never be paid. Only his body will satisfy the debt.
Tell him, Asriel, tell him of the disguise.
Kind of look hastily at Berg as soon as he says that and look back at Azrael with a concerned face.
I thought you said the skies. I was like, what? Well, there's a
Tell him of
nitrogen,
the
it goes
skies.
It
was blue today.
Well, we're getting a disguise for Berg. You being a priest of judgment should know what the executed are. And we're going to disguise him temporarily as one of them. They're going to make one of the hoods for us.
Adam, would I be insulted by that they're like making light of the... Would you say it's a religion or is it like a practice that I know of?
Well, so the responsibility of judgment, of the priest of judgment, is to level judgment, is to say what is and is not just, and to say like, this person deserves to be executed. It's the priesthood, the clergy of the hanged man that handles the dead and dying. Like, their role is to take the people that have been placed by justice into the hands of the hanged man for passing on to death. Judgment is quite late in the Arcana, and just for clarity, like justice and judgment have some overlap. They work together, but justice is they're the people who are responsible for like earthly shit, like you go to jail, you don't go to jail, whatever. Judgment is more like ultimate purpose stuff, right? Judgment is the last step before you join, like before enlightenment, basically. Right. So it's hearing a call and absolution and rebirth, whereas justice is fairness and responsibility and cause and effect, right? So for you, I mean, the affront here is not, I mean, you can decide personally, but to your people, to judgment, the affront here doesn't really exist. Like if you were a priest of justice, you'd probably be pissed off because it's you're pretending that someone is undergoing a ritual that they're not. But for you, you can think on a higher level and feel whether this feels like a spiritual problem. But I don't think that it is. But that's your call as a character.
All right. I think that helps understand the relationships a little bit better with the Arcana. So
yeah, it can be confusing, and I'm sure that we've both said justice when we meant judgment. But yeah, that's how it works. It's like justice is concerned with earthly things. Judgment is concerned with spiritual results.
Okay. So what was the last thing you said, Azrael? You said we're getting him a robe.
We're getting him the hood
of the
executed to disguise him.
Okay. My guard drops for a bit and the rapier comes down after poking and prodding at Berg as I'm trying to explain to it. And in grasping hand's voice, I look at Azrael and him and say, it seems you've had a busy day, and start like walking over to where we had breakfast this morning, or maybe we didn't eat, but where we met this morning. Yeah, I sit down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I turn to Azrael now, and in Berg's voice once again say where to now, but this time it's definitely a slighter tone, like a more hushed tone than it was before.
There are 2 tasks in the upper city we could accomplish today. One, there probably would be a temple or shrine to judgment. We could ask them there about the bracers and how they work and if they could remove them. And 2, while we're up there, if we can find this material, I'll show you the list, he could speed up the disguise and get it to us much sooner.
Okay.
I'm afraid Berg would have to stay here. This is the only safe place. I'm not sure his disguise would help him.
I look over at Berg and address the cloth once more as I see that he's turned and moved some of it so it's showing skin, and push it down. Maybe start, since he can't really see anything, I'll grab him by his hand and lead him over to a chair and sit him down with the cloth draped around him.
I think, yeah, Berg just fucking yanks it off and just like,
Inside.
We're safe in here. The shutters are drawn. No one can see in. He is safe here, I promise you.
Once again, in Azrael's voice, I say, "Are you sure we're alone?" I'm kind of like looking around, looking at the windows, very paranoid.
I always feel like there's a 4th person watching everything we do, but other than that, I think we're alone.
You're all crazy. You say I'm dumb. No one is watching us.
Long
I
stare at the camera.
Be very cautious. The gods are sometimes very insulted when you say they don't exist. The fountain. Sorry.
I'd taken a long breath and a slow exhale, and kind of like pat Berg on the back, and in Azrael's voice say, "You are strong, my friend."
Thank
Then
you.
slowly start pulling the cloth back over him.
Just put this back over.
Stop.
Yeah, I get upset and maybe go upstairs to start putting on all my gear and things like that.
You remind me of my grandma constantly covering the couch in plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I would assume that we're getting ready to leave, me and Azrael. So I'm going upstairs to get ready, because I was just walking around in my normal, non-armor clothes earlier today.
Okay. All right. So you wanna get dressed and head out to where? Where are you going?
To the upper city to look for one, the merchant who sell that cloth, and then 2, a shrine or temple to judgment.
am I coming?
No.
You could, but it's always dangerous right
I
now.
guess, yeah, I should probably just chill. I'll guard the house.
Okay. All right. So Jubilant Black Gale and Azrael, you head out, and we see you go out into the city, into the town.
As they leave the door, Berg's just putting on the thing to make Jubilant feel better.
Yeah.
So Berg, what do you do? Like you're alone in the house, and you're not allowed to leave. What do you do to keep yourself from getting bored?
Do we have any sort of, like, I forgot, do we have a balcony or something, or no?
You have a garden. You have like the front. You have the rock garden out front.
Right, okay. So if you're actually inside, no one knows what's going on or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess as soon as the door closes, Berg just like yanks off the fucking thing and just like kicks a chair, slides it out, and just kind of stares at his hands and just like looks at his armor, like fucking just checking his gear.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe plays the equivalent of This World Ball in a Cup for a little bit.
Yeah, there's totally that game. Like it's a little.
It's universal.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, right around we get a couple of shots of Berg like slowly getting more and more bored alone in town. You're like playing with the ball and the
Yeah,
cup.
it progresses from like kind of productive stuff like, okay, I'll check my gear, I'll make sure this is good, and then once he's done everything, he's just kind of sitting there with like
Okay. You hear a loud knock at the door. You're like,
All right, immediately Berg's like, grabs grabs his warhammer off the ground and like tucks it, get at the ready. Does it have like a little spy hole?
No, it's a big circular like wooden door in a wall. You could like climb up the wall and look over it, but
All right, Berg waits by the door.
okay, yeah.
at the
More
ready.
like hammering on the door. And this is the door leading into the garden, not the door of your house. Because I assume you would have locked both. There's like, yeah, knocking. And then you hear a woman's voice on the outside be like, anyone home?
Okay. How much time has passed? Days, like
Like
same day?
20 minutes, like half an hour.
Yeah. The guy said, so he knows that it's not the person that's delivering.
Yeah, no, it's only been a little while.
Exactly.
Less time than it feels like for Berg, probably.
Berg waits again.
Yeah, so a couple more knocks, like, hello? And it's
Berg
quiet.
waits.
And then you hear like some cursing quietly and some like unrecognizable like dialect. And then you hear, "Come on, you stupid half orc! I know your friends left. Just open the door. I'm not a bounty hunter. It's Golden Fist Princess. Come on." You probably recognize
Do I
her
recognize
name?
her voice?
Yeah, she's one of the Thirsty Devils. She's like a lieutenant of.
So I recognize that it is her voice.
I mean, you recognize the name. You haven't heard her talk
Actually,
too much.
I have heard her talk.
He has.
Yeah,
'cause
Berg was
Yeah,
there.
we were in the fucking tea
We were
Yeah,
in
shop.
but
back of the
not
tea shop.
like at length. So I don't know. Make a perception check. Let's see if you can put
They
the
argued back and forth.
right. But you haven't heard her talk a lot, and you're kind of dumb, Berg. Is what I was trying to get at it without saying it. Your memory's not great.
You are kind of dumb.
Make a
Berg no voices. Berg don't know intellect things.
make the damn roll.
All right, what am I, perception or what are we doing here?
Yeah, perception.
All right.
Put 2 and 2 together. Roll.
Not
Yes.
bad. Not bad.
All right. You recognize the voice. You recognize the name. It does sound like her. Yeah.
Okay. Berg opens the door knowing that she's a part of, there's two devils. Not the door, but he's in the garden now.
Yeah. So she like pushes it open as you start to like open it a little, and kind of like squeezes in, and she's
Wait, no.
like,
That's not what I wasn't
As
going
soon
for
as-
that.
well,
There's two
you said
doors.
you want
One to the house. I'm
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
house,
yeah.
right?
okay.
So I go to the garden.
Yeah, I
and
thought you were
then-
already at the garden door.
No. I
Okay,
go to the garden, and then I stand, like where she can hear me. And I'm just like,
What do you want?
I want to talk to you
Why?
because I have work for you. You like gold, don't you, dummy? Let me in.
She's called you dumb, Berg. How do you take that?
Insults won't get you anywhere.
And you hear like a sloshing sound because now you're close. She like shakes something and taps on it. You hear a hollow tapping with her. She's like, "How about rice wine? I brought some of that."
What do you want?
Listen, I just want to get drunk with my friend Berg.
Goodbye.
and then he just starts walking
She's like,
back into the house.
It's fine. I'll give the job to someone else then.
Do it!
She shrugs. She's like, dumb old orc. And and she leaves. Okay. So meanwhile, Black Gale and Azrael. Just hold on. Let me make a note here. Okay. So Azrael and Julian Black Gale, where do you go? Where are you going?
I think we first go look for the place of judgment if there's in the upper city.
Yeah. So you haven't really been to the city is divided into many tiers. There isn't just like lower, middle, and upper. There's like the lowest tier, there's the abbey at the top, and there's a bunch of stuff in the middle. So you just want to like go find the town. Probably it's not big enough, right? It's a monastery town, and it gets more religious the higher up you go. So you want to just go up as high as you can into like the temple district and find a proper temple to judgment.
Yeah, like a temple or some places where someone who would know about judgment would be like a priest or someone.
Yeah.
That we could talk to.
Makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I mean in the lower city there's the little like shrine court. Remember we described that as like a shared temple with a whole bunch of little shrines in it. You could find a priest of judgment there.
I think that's where we would start. Like,
Start there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, so we cut to you in the open area. We've been here before. This is the area that led to the sauna where
The
where
lovers.
lovers were. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a wheel in the center, and then around the outside, a bunch of little stone and wood like shrines. And the area smells of incense. You can hear people meditating. There's that kind of like low talking. And in the courtyard outside, there are a bunch of young like teenage like monks in various colored robes sparring. So we see like a couple of boys doing some kung fu. One of them throws the other on the ground and then helps him up, and they laugh. And their trainer comes over and like starts talking to them. So we get this like long shot as we follow you into the building. On the inside, there's sunlight coming through a hole in the ceiling, and as the sun goes overhead, the light passes over a bunch of the different shrines as the day goes on. Right now, it's just sort of like hanging in the dusty air in between shrines. And you take a look around, and you can see that there's a statue. It's quite old looking of a judge. It's a man with a long beard and mustache. His eyes are closed. He's holding a horn in one hand and a bundle of scrolls in the other, and he has the like tall hat of a judge, a court judge. And you can see that below. There's a woman talking to in other words, two women talking. One of them is wearing similar robes to him. The other looks like she's a worker or a peasant. She's just wearing like regular robes or regular clothes, like a tunic with her sleeves rolled up, and they're talking. And you can walk up closer if you want, or what do you want to do?
I guess we'll walk up to the person. Looks like they're in charge of judgment.
There's just really only the two people there.
Okay, we'll walk up to them.
Okay. So as you walk up, the woman, the laborer, she's saying, she's like, "Thank you, absolver. Thank you," and putting some coins in this other woman's hand. And now that you're closer, despite wearing the robes of a judge of the Court of Coins, she's from the Court of Wands. You can tell by her brown skin, and her hair is like braided with these like red beads in a style that you recognize as being foreign, but her dress is more local. And she puts her hand on the woman's shoulder and she says, "You have no reason to think on it further," and nods and says, "Thank you for your offering." And she turns, and then she sees you walking up, and she smiles slightly, just like a little smile in the corner of her lips, and she takes the coins and counts them and puts them into a lockbox at the feet of this statue. When you walk up, are you, Azrael, are you kind of like leading first, or how does that work?
Yeah,
I think we're like pretty much side by side, both of us.
All right. So she places both hands in front of her and bows deeply, which is kind of an impressive feat given that her tall hat doesn't fall off when she bows. She's got practice at this shit. And she says, "Welcome to the temple, Tianqi. It's been some time since I had the honor of gazing upon one of your kind. What good deed have I done to draw the attention of heaven?" And you can see she's got this little wry smile where she's like, maybe she's teasing you, but maybe not. Maybe she's just being like polite.
Well, you are most kind, gentlewoman. But it's not I who have come here. It's my friend here, Gale. He is a priest of the judgment, but has lived his whole life in the company of Kenku, and he wants to expand his knowledge on some of the more society traditions of judgment. If you could answer some questions.
She looks at you like immediately it's like Azrael doesn't exist. Not in a rude way, but she's just like fascinated. And she looks at you, she says, Kenku, I'm twice blessed in one day. Now, your kind I've never met before. And your vestments, so unusual. Where did you learn the ways of judgment, my friend?
Confused, Gil turns to Azrael and turns back to the woman with the full head turn, and looks at the woman and says, in Azrael's voice, "Hello, stranger." And then looks back at Azrael.
Yeah. She laughs. She's like, and like claps a little, and she's like, fantastic.
And then in Azrael's voice again says, "I'm new in town."
She nods. We all were at once. I've been absolver to this community for 8-9 years now, I believe. It's hard work. But wait, do you know do you know what an absolver does?
I look at Azrael and
You can both make religion checks. You can make yours with
Okay.
advantage, Jubon Blackgale.
all right,
Because like it's your religion, but you also learned it in a weird way.
right, 19,
Nice, Azrael. Okay, so you know.
7.
Okay, Julian Blackgale, you don't know what that is, even though like it sounds important. Azrael, absolvers are a part of the cult of judgment. Their job is to decide whether or not a person's crime is worth penitence or can be resolved simply through prayer. As the wheel of existence turns, we accumulate karma, and our karma must be expunged. This is why judgment's right near the end. Expunged before we become one with the wheel and get reincarnated. So judgment's job is to be like, okay, yes, you're done, or no, you're not. And often, part of what an absolver will do, they'll work with a healer, or they'll work with like a doctor of the cult to decide whether someone's allowed to die or not. So someone who's old or sick, they can be like, no, you're not done yet. The healer will give them continued life and be like, get back to work. So there's a bit of like a kind of they're meddlers in the scheme of things. The good ones do this through prayer and meditation with the fountain. The bad ones are like, no, you got to pay us to be allowed to reincarnate. It's a dangerous position. So she absolves the community of their karma that they've built up, or tells them, no, go work it off. So yeah, that's her job. So she's like, I've been absolver to this community for 7 or 8 years now. And yeah, she says, do you know what an absolver does?
I look confused at Azrael.
I relay, like, in simple terms, like, she judges whether someone's ready to pass on to the fountain to come back again.
Yeah, she smiles and she says, yes, but it's not always so mortal as all that. Sometimes, as people move through the great wheel of being, they are uncertain if they're ready to move from the station that they're in to another, making hard decisions. They don't want to carry the karma of their past life with them. We do this when someone is taking on a new undertaking, a new job, a journey, that sort of thing. One walks with the burden not only of one's shoulders, but of one's soul. Do you have karma of which I can unburden you today?
In the camp lieutenant's voice, who I don't remember where that was, but I wrote it down as camp lieutenant. So whatever voice that is, I turn to her and say, lady, you talk a lot.
She laughs and she says, yes, well, that's my job. To talk, to inform, to educate, but mostly to listen.
My friend here, you know how the Kinku are very curious creatures. They love things that shine and glimmer. And
As you say that, I play into it and start walking towards something shiny in the room very slowly and pull myself away from the conversation.
And he became quite enthralled by these bracers that what slaves appear to wear. And we found out that apparently Judgment makes these. Could you tell him more about these? How they're made, what they're for? Like,
a look passes over her face. Do you want to try to figure out what it is?
Sure.
Okay, make an insight check. She has an emotion that she tries to cover.
16.
It looks like guilt. There's some turmoil there. And she says, yes, the bracers. We work with the cult of justice to craft them. You see, because they bind not only the body but the soul. There are those who must remain in their station for a time, who wish to go outside of it and must be assisted in knowing their place. And while she's speaking, she's like kind of rubbing her wrist, and she says, "I've never been party to the crafting ritual myself, so I'm afraid I won't be able to tell you everything. But they're dangerous. But we've never placed one without good cause."
So we couldn't help but notice, but these things don't seem to have any sort of clasp or seam. They just seem one solid piece. Do you know how they go on or come off?
She says, "Well, they go on by magic, and Tianqi, I can only assume, come off the same way, though more often the spell that befalls us all at the end of our time is what removes a bracer like that."
Wow.
You can see she's starting to get suspicious. Like, you're like,
we're asking. Yeah.
yeah, how do I get these handcuffs off for no reason at all? I mean, they're for a friend's handcuffs. Yes, I know a guy, in theory, metaphorically. So are you going to try to hide your real purpose, or?
We're just, I just to tell her, like, well, that's all we really wanted to know. We were just curious about them. There seemed to be a fascinating device.
Make a deception check for me.
Oh God. I'll make an action regardless of the outcome of this.
Damn.
Okay. All right. She's pretty insightful. It's kind of her job.
I turn back and come join the conversation after staring
So
at.
she looks at you. She gives you the like mom or like principal that like you are lying to me and I know it look, but doesn't say that. Like she doesn't immediately be like liar. She's just kind of like gives you a look, and she says, "Whoever it is that wears this bracer does so with the cause and will of heaven. Crossing the will of heaven is the purview of the Mara, Tianqi. Certainly you must know this, as do we all."
It's quite odd you mention heaven, for we employ no such devices there.
She smiles and she puts her hands up and she says, of course, there's no need for enslavement in heaven. All those who dwell within have transcended the wheel, have reached nirvana, enlightenment. Why would you need such things there?"
Mortals are very curious creatures.
She says, "We cannot all be born such heavenly things as you, my friend. All we can do is work hard, shed our karma, and hope."
Well, Kale, is there anything else that you wanted to know?
So wherever I'm at it, what was I staring at? What caught my attention here that's shiny?
Let's see what would be nearby. Oh, the Shrine of the Sun is nearby. So the Shrine of the Sun is like right next to you. And maybe the sun, it's like getting to be midday, so the sun is like right on the edge of it. And the Shrine of the Sun is a bunch of like polished gold and brass mirrored plates that like move as the day goes by. And so yeah, you got an eye full of like shining golden plate. And you can see there's a priest of the sun who's like giving a speech over there, and he's wearing like cloth of gold and all this like fancy jewelry, and is like giving this speech about how like evil will be banished at the coming of the sun, and the sun dwells within all of us. Seek the inner light. And so you've been kind of like drawn over just by like the sparkling of his little shrine.
Okay. I probably stay right on the outskirts then of where the sun is on the ground. Even as it moves, I'll take like steps back to stay outside of it. And then when I hear Azrael say what he says, I once again laugh like a child, and then turn back and walk over to the priest. Does she say anything when I approach?
No, she's having this conversation with Azrael. So
Okay. In the Hierophant monk's voice, I'll say it would be an honor if you joined me and my apprentice for tea.
And she looks at you, Azrael.
And I cock my head to the side, expecting a response.
Yeah, she looks at you, Azrael. Do you nod, or would you?
I'm like, I don't know what that means.
She laughs and she says, well, I meant to watch over the shrine, but she looks around. It doesn't appear that there's anyone eagerly awaiting absolution. To be honest, my position is not often a popular one. Yes, let me finish up here, and I would be happy to join you.
Is she wearing full armed robe? Like, do the robes go all the way down past her hands?
Yeah, they're like judge's robes. I mean, if you look at any like
any
picture or
judge.
drawing,
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
well, but of like Confucian judge, like a medieval Chinese, like they're very, very long, super long sleeves. She spends a lot of time with her hands like folded in her sleeves. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're voluminous and long, and she's got like a kind of like a golden like edge to the robes.
Okay. She says she's gonna go and get stuff ready.
She just needs to like lock the lockbox and like make sure that everything is yeah.
Okay. Then in Azrael's voice, I'll scream yes.
Yes.
She like, I guess, agrees to this.
Sure.
Is that a good place for a break?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're a little
we
bit
can do
over. I lost track of time.
Okay.
So cool. Let's take a break here. Still got 2 hours left to go. We'll come back. We'll go on our lunch date and then see what's going on with Berg back at the house as well. So more Court of Swords action right after this. We'll see you guys when the break concludes. Be right back.